Hey everybody, I'm Mike Yanessa. Welcome to another episode of Car Stories here on PCTV. Tonight we have two special guests, and boy do they have a car story. I've known Dave for a long time, and Jerry, back to the days of Farmington and Wilson when I had the Texaco station. Dave worked across the street at the credit union, which is now Tornetta's Pizza, and he raced a Mustang, and we've been friends for a long time. Haven't seen him for a long time, but his father, Jerry, also was a customer at the Texaco, and we talked cars, and the Ford Chevy thing always went on because they're Ford guys. But they're here tonight to talk about a very special car that Jerry was lucky enough to buy back, a 1962 Ford. There's a picture of it. Dave says that's the oldest picture of it. Tell us about it, Dave.
That picture was of the guy that owned the car previous. His name is George Brower. That picture was taken in 1969. George's dad owned Brower Motors in North Coventry, and apparently ran the car. And
George's dad is also the reason why he sold it to me.
Because
his dad told him he wasn't spending no more money fixing that car.
Yep. So. And it was sold new where again?
Rice and Holman.
Rice and Holman Ford. That was a big dealership. The Brower Brothers was over. Brower Motors was over there on South Hanover Street.
Right.
And it wound up what, on the used car lot?
Nope.
How did it get there?
I'll start real brief from the beginning.
Yep.
A returning serviceman came home to Philly.
Right.
And bought it brand new from Rice and Holman.
Okay.
He kept it until '64, and he traded it in on his '64 427 powered Galaxy.
Okay.
The man who owned A to Z Vacuum in Boyertown, I don't know if he's still alive or not. I haven't seen him for a long time.
Yeah.
He bought it. He was the second owner, and he drove it for years.
Just as a car?
Just as a car.
Yeah.
Then he traded it in, and George Brower saw it, and he wanted it. So Brower Motors and Spence Ford did a deal or trade.
Oh my.
Now George had the car. I don't know exactly how many years he owned it, but everybody knew George in that car.
Right.
As
and he cruised in it?
Oh yeah.
Raced it?
Yeah. When I bought it was my daily driver. I drove that back and forth to work every day.
And then when did you buy it?
1973.
From?
George Brower.
From George.
I was the fourth owner of the car.
Wow.
My ex-wife drove it to the laundromat, the grocery store, wherever. It was our family car.
Yeah.
And it gets better because it had an Oldsmobile axle housing under the back of it with a 488 rear. That was my street car.
And what's the motor and the transit?
406 cubic inch, 405 horsepower, 4-speed.
So 3.2 barrels.
3.2 barrels from the factory.
And power steering, power brakes, air conditioning, tilt wheel?
No, nothing.
Just strictly a big car that goes fast.
Well, you got to remember, back in those days, the car companies were deep into the horsepower wars.
Yeah.
Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, all them.
Mechanical flat tappet.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was advertised as 406 cubic inch, 405 horsepower.
Right.
So.
Wow.
And where I lived when I first bought that car, I lived out on Manatoni Street. I was renting a house.
Okay.
And I had to park the car across the street along the creek. Okay. I came out to go to work one morning, and my car was sitting like this. What the heck? Somebody stole the wheels off the right side of it.
One side. Oh my God.
Nobody knew it was an old axle housing. So for years, I kept the other two wheels, determined to find that sucker that stole my wheels. I want them back.
Yeah.
You know.
Were they mags?
Yeah, they were thin, dark-centered mags.
Oh yeah.
Probably the ones you see in the picture.
Yeah, they look like it. And this is at Maple Grove. We were talking before the show. Look at the advertisers. K&G Speed, Roger Sinistri. He was a big tuner from Reading that did a bunch of cars. He worked with Larry Lombardo.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And that's you can't barely see it, but that's actually B&J Speed Shop was Leary's Speed Shop right here from Pottstown. So it's just cool to see that, captured in time, 63 or 62 Ford that usually was just a family car that, people drove with a 289 and an automatic. But this one's got some swoop.
Are you familiar with Owen J. Roberts High School?
Oh yeah.
The parking lot where students park their cars has speed bumps in it.
Right.
That man and that car are directly responsible for those speed bumps. He
That's
did a
very
burnout. His brother Dave told me the story. He did a burnout so bad it smoked out 3 classrooms. 2 weeks later, they had the speed bumps.
I believe it. Yeah, that was a heck of a car, man. Wow.
George was a character. He was a character. But no, I was driving out South Hanover Street, and the Brower family lived just a couple hundred feet down from the dealership. And that car was tucked in between the trees, sitting there, facing the road with a for sale sign on it.
So it wasn't at the dealership?
No.
No, it was at the house?
No.
Mm-hmm.
And then you drove it through the 70s as a regular car?
I sold it in 74 because my wife
74.
and I wanted a down payment for a house. We wanted to buy a house.
Oh,
We were
sure.
tired
Yeah.
of renting.
Everybody did that.
I had that car and I had a blue one identical to it. I sold them both to the same man. He lived down in Lansdale. If you go out 363, there's a big Wawa right before you get into Lansdale.
Yeah.
Where that Wawa sits, there used to be 2 bi-level houses.
Right.
And that's where the guy lived that bought those cars.
Now, was the other one the
The other one was a 406 tri-power,
You're
4-speed
kidding
car,
me.
but it was blue.
Wow.
Do you remember Rivnak Motors down
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The blue one was sitting way in the back of their yard, up
Yeah, 'cause
against
they
the
weren't
fence.
worth, in 74, the gas control, they weren't worth anything.
Well, there was something wrong with it, but I can't remember. But my buddy Ronnie, who always led me into this stuff,
Yeah.
buy it. You ought to buy that.
You have 2 of them then.
Yeah, well, I paid $350 for it, but I can't remember what was wrong with it. But I know I did drive it home,
Right.
and there it sat. And then, well,
So you sold them both.
sold them both to the
in
same man.
74.
And after that, I lost track of it for years. I have no idea what happened to it
Wow.
until the guy that I bought it back from, which is another story. But I'll let David take you through the pictures till we get to that point, and then I'll tell you.
Okay. Yeah, let's see some more pictures, Dave.
Sure.
Yep. I know there's other people out there that have car stories that are like this one. So if anyone has a story about their old car and the pictures and stuff, just get in touch with me or Gus, and you could be on PCTV and tell your story. I mean, we talked about doing this for quite a while, and finally, I wasn't recording there for a while. Now we're back on target, 1 show a month, 2022. And so if anybody has a similar car story, please share it with everybody, like these guys are doing.
I had to laugh. You said, will you be able to talk about your car? People that know me tell me to shut up.
Yeah, right. Yep.
I can talk for hours about this car.
So now we moved up a few years.
Yeah.
And where are we at now?
I actually took that picture in 1987. The gentleman that owned it at the time, his name's Bob Gillespie, and he sells cars for Ford. He's a big salesman for Ford Motor Company.
He's a good salesman, too.
He owned the car. He owned that one, and he had several others. And Bob's a very interesting guy. He was
So you found it at the track and realized
No.
it was Dad's car?
No.
Well, actually, yes, we did. I was racing my Mustang at Maple Grove at Ford,
okay.
probably 1986 or so.
Right.
And Dad was with me, and I was in the tech lines. And the tech line at Maple Grove at that particular time was in the middle of the pits, and you could stand there and you could watch the cars come in.
Oh,
And
yeah, right.
He actually was like, "Hey, that's my." He knew that was his car
On the way
from
in?
a couple hundred yards away, and yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
I didn't believe it and whatnot. And that was the first time we ran into it. And
Oh, my gosh.
Bob was young at the time and really enthusiastic about the car and really took good care of it. As a matter of fact, right about that time is when all the nostalgia stuff was
Starting to break
come
loose.
Yeah.
up. Like the Mustang was turning 20, the Camaro was turning 20 years old, the
Yeah,
Thunderbolt was 20.
Yeah.
And he raced that car up and down the East Coast for a while. And,
Bob Gillespie is a really interesting guy. See the corner of that Fairlane there?
Yep.
That's also his car.
Wow.
Now, Bob
that's a Norco 427 Galaxy. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Bob
my
is
gosh.
a pure power enthusiast.
Right.
Whereas I'm more of what does it look like? He's more of how fast will it go?
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
There's that type of.
And he had that car flying. I mean, he just did outstanding things with that car.
Wow. Now what's this one, Dave?
That's another picture of when Bob owned it. Probably early on. He told me he bought that car Christmas Eve 1983, and then he sold it in 1987. But I ran it. That was the first time we ran into it. The 422 Motorsports guys were just starting to build cars and race them and campaign them.
Yep.
And at the time, my parents were separated. Dad was living with a lady whose son-in-law happened to work at Roberts Ford, and he kept saying, "Hey, you got to come down and look at this. Our salesman's selling his car. He's selling his car." And we went down there and we looked at it. And I have very few memories of the car, but when we walked in there, I knew instantly.
The car was way in the back corner, like where your big shop door.
422.
Yeah.
No,
it was at Roberts.
Roberts
Oh,
Ford.
Roberts
Do you
Ford,
remember
yeah.
D Electric when it was down there?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they owned that building. So
Yeah.
when D Electric moved out,
Yeah.
they used it for like a warehouse.
Right.
Yeah.
My car was sitting way down catty-cornered in the far right corner. And we walked in the door and said, "David, that's my car."
Again.
Yeah.
Again. It's just something about the way it sits and the way it looks, smells. I don't know.
Like
but
complete, like motor trains
Yeah.
running?
yeah, drive it.
Yeah.
Start it up and drive it
Wow.
away.
Well, unfortunately, it was just sold. He just sold the car. He sold the car actually to some people at 422. They were going to try and make a nostalgia super stock car out of it.
Was it in good shape?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob took great care of the
Yeah,
car.
it was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
And we were in the dump. We sold our oil business. We were in the dump truck business. And my mechanic had moved down to Oaks. It was a rainy day, and I said to Dad, "I'm going to go down and get the oil change in my dump truck. Why don't we go down there and see what these 422 guys were all about?" Well, lo and behold, we go out there.
There's the car again.
There's the car again.
We went in,
Wow.
told him the story.
Now wait.
He did his thing.
We talked to Rich Lamont, the owner.
Yeah.
Who-
He was on. They were on our show years ago.
He's a character.
It's the other guy.
He's another great guy.
Dink.
Dink. Yeah.
Dink
Yeah.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Well,
They're good guys.
Rich, is it for sale? That's my old car. Nah, I don't actually own that car. Do you remember WIBG Radio, Joe Pellegrini,
Oh yeah.
the disc jockey?
Yeah.
His brother is an accountant.
Okay.
Happened to be the accountant for 422 Motorsports.
Okay.
He technically owned the car.
Wow.
Oh, Mr. Pellegrini, I want to buy my
Gotta
car
have
back.
it.
Not for sale. Took
Okay.
me 3 weeks
A little bit.
of many phone calls hounding him. I
Right.
was relentless. Finally, he said, well, there was a man there named Fred Henderson, who I've known for a long time. Said to him, "Look, this was this guy's car. His kids might have been born in that car. You don't know. Sell it back to him." And throughout all the pressure from them guys down here, Pellegrini finally agreed to sell it to me.
Okay.
Again, as usual, I didn't have any money,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I borrowed money from my son
Right.
to buy the car back. And when I
Right.
did, I titled it in his name.
Okay.
So I can't ever sell it again.
Right. Right.
Nor do
right.
I want to.
Right. Right. Oh, that's so. Cool.
So, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
That's all right.
There we go. That's pretty much what the car looked like when we got it, when he bought it back.
Yeah, it
That
looks
was
good.
probably that's in 2004, but 1997 is when we got it back. He really wasn't into the race thing. It really, I guess, back in the 70s, racing. Well, it's
for
so
me,
expensive
racing was
now.
on High Street. I mean, that's
Oh yeah, well there was drag racers, there were street racers, and there was, like you said earlier, some people didn't really care as long as it had the motor and it looked good. They didn't even race. They
well.
just, it was
I never hid the fact I was almost as bad as Brower on High Street.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, he was crazy everywhere, but I was crazy on High Street. Problem for me was being young with 2 kids,
Right.
wanting to buy a home,
Right.
and it broke. Every
Right.
week it broke.
Oh yeah,
Something
yeah,
broke.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, quick, we got to fix it so I can go to work tomorrow,
Right, right.
And long story short, we ended up selling both cars and used that money for a down
your
payment
house,
for the
right.
house.
And that's what you said that made me think of something years ago. You didn't take your car apart and restore it. You did enough and made sure you put it back together so you had it for work Monday morning.
Yeah.
Then next weekend, I remember cutting the holes for my speakers and then putting it in and never finishing the radio because I needed to go to work. And then the following weekend, you finish the speaker. It's not like today where people pull them off the road and spend years restoring them. It was your car you drove. You needed it for transportation.
David's mom she was not a car person.
Okay.
To her, a car was the way you get to work,
That's
get to the
right.
grocery store.
Right.
But Friday nights, I would go out, see what I could line up for Saturday night as far as street racing.
Right.
And then Saturdays, in the morning, every Saturday, I would go out and I'd lift the hood and I'd start polishing.
Mm.
And David was, how old were you in 73?
About 5.
It's still in my mind. He's standing on the seat with his hands on the steering wheel going, vroom, vroom, look, Daddy, I'm driving, look.
That's
I got
cool.
the hood up and I'm polishing the valve covers and stuff. I'll never forget that picture.
No.
And he's been a car nut ever since.
Yep, that's how it starts.
But yeah, Friday night I would go out and my buddy Ronnie and I would just cruise up and down. Yeah, I want that one tomorrow night. No, I ain't racing that.
Yeah.
And then Saturday we'd meet up and It didn't. We used to go from here east.
Oh yeah.
We used to go from Manatoni Street west, but the real racing was up at the J lanes.
Right.
Coming back into town.
Okay.
Because if the Stowe cop was out, you could shoot right into the J lanes and just turn the lights off and sit there. He'd go right on by.
Right.
You know.
That's cool.
But I like beating the crap out of my car, not so much racing it.
For times and lights. And
yeah,
stuff.
that car right there. I mean, David's got a 10-second Mustang, and I've ridden in it, and it's strong as heck.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't grab me in the butt like this one does.
Yeah.
This one just, I mean, I've broken the seat.
Yeah, and the 4-speed.
When I do take it down the track now, I'm literally pulling on the steering wheel. And in fact, the last time I raced it, the lights came down, I left the clutch fly, and it threw me back so hard I pulled the stick right out of first gear.
Yeah.
And caught hell for it from him. You know, what'd you do? What'd you do? You missed the gear. No, I never did. Never made the shift. But
wow.
That's what I did. I just like beating the car.
I love the wheels. I love the ladder bars. It's just so cool. It sits, like you said. Sits
Yeah.
nice.
If you go back to the first picture, you can see the ladder bars they're still the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Still the same now?
Yeah. We had them. Those actually rusted out. We had making some new ones.
Yeah. Nice.
But exactly the same. Exactly the same.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we've done so much.
What else you got? You got another picture?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is 2004 also.
Okay.
When I wasn't racing or when I'm not at the track with it, I love to show it. That's my thing now, going to car shows.
Mm-hmm.
My wife loves it. I can take my granddaughter with me or him if he wants to go or Brian or whoever and spend a day or weekend, you know, as the case is. I'm really getting into the car shows with it. And that particular picture was 2004, I think it says.
Right.
I won it. I won it for Nationals.
Oh my gosh, that looks neat.
In the show. And
with Carlisle.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the all Ford. I didn't see that right away. Yeah, I go to Carlisle, but I don't do the Ford show. I do the spring and fall and GM.
Here's another picture of 2003. This is really a nice picture of the car, I think.
Oh yeah, with the green, it's high definition. That's beautiful. Father's Day car and truck show.
Yep.
Yep.
One year, my Father's Day present was my children got together and took my car and polished it from front to back.
Nice.
Cleaned it all out.
So it's black with red interior?
Yeah. Red interior with tiny little white stripes and
seen
seats.
It. I've remember years ago we did the carburetors like we talked about, but you were still working on it back then.
Yeah.
And then you restored it?
Or
we
did.
painted
It started actually.
It's been repainted. It's never been restored.
Not restored. So like the interior stuff, pretty much original.
No, I had to have seat covers put on because it started splitting. But then the door panels started cracking.
I love the red and black. That's just
and
awesome.
Door panels for that particular car were $1,200 a set. Again, no money.
Yeah.
My wife Kathy said, Jerry.
Well, it's not your car. It's in his name.
She said, Jerry, let me make you your door panels. I can do it.
No kidding.
Yeah, and she drives a truck for a living.
Oh, okay.
And no, I don't have any money, and the door panels look like crap. What do I have to lose? So I took the door panels off, and on our dining room table at night after dinner, she took the pattern. She took each stitch out by hand, and separated the material. Okay. Went to wherever ladies go to buy material and bought the vinyl. Okay. Cut it out, sewed it all back together, and I've won 3 awards with it since then. It looks really gorgeous inside. I said, you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah, upholsterers are short today.
So, but I like that picture. I think that's a real nice picture of the car.
Yeah, it is.
And this also is a nice picture of it.
Yeah, that's later. That was after it was painted. Right after that, it was starting to show some cracks.
2003.
Yeah, body work was starting to crack.
What was the story behind that too, about the paint job? Put that picture up.
We'll get to that one.
Okay.
We already showed that.
No, we didn't. That's Dick Brannon.
Okay.
Do you know, does the name Dick Brannon mean anything to you?
It rings a bell.
He was the captain of the Ford drag racing program.
Yeah.
He was the one that said, you get this car, you get these parts, you get this much money.
Okay.
He was the captain of the Ford drag race program.
Right.
Me being the total idiot that I am, we're at Beaver Springs for the FE reunion, and he was there as a guest celebrity. And I happen to know that he started out with a '62 Ford Galaxy. Mr. Brannon, and he likes root beer. So every time I see him now, I have a root beer in my hand for him. Mr. Brannon, what would you think about taking my car for a ride down the track? Get out of here. You know, he thought I was full of crap.
Yeah.
And I just, every half hour or so, I'd walk back past the stand. I heard him say, I'm going for lunch for a while. And I'm standing there. He said, are you serious? Yeah, I'd love to see you drive my car.
Yeah.
And I can't do that. It's been 25 years since I drove a car like that. Now, he was world champ, I guess you call him?
I don't know. That was before my time.
I know he was top
He was
dog.
up there, yeah.
He was top dog, I know that. But anyway,
wow.
We're down in the pits, and my wife and other people are there. We're sitting around talking, and I see this little man walking down, looking at the car, and he's bending down, looking under it. Turns out to be Dick Brannon. Next thing I know, I have pictures of it in here somewhere.
Well, that's him there.
That's him driving it.
Oh, that's him driving it.
That's my dad there. That's
Okay.
Dick driving it there.
Oh my.
Maybe I didn't bring those pictures, but David says the same thing. Dad, that's Dick Brannon looking at your car. So he walks over. Next thing I know, they're laying on the ground underneath of the car. Dick's sitting in the car and he's looking at the pedals. Well, I guess I could. I guess I could take it down.
Wow.
So, okay, now my heart's beating 200 miles an hour. Dick Brannon's going to drive my car.
Right.
I want every camera in this place taking a picture of it.
Right. Heck yeah.
So we're standing at the starting line, and it's like, David, is that my clutch? He said, yeah, Dad, that's how he used to drive them. He pulled up to the line, and he staged the car, pre-staged and staged,
and hung there.
and hit the line lock with the clutch right there.
Uh-huh.
And you could smell it. And the lights came down, and he was gone. He ran 1/10 slower than I do.
Wow.
That's what kind of driver he was.
He was, yeah, and he didn't do it for you.
And then he come back off the return road, brought the car into where we were pitted at. He had a smile this bigger than mine, and mine was this big, you know?
Yeah.
And he hung out with us for a while, and we've been friends ever since.
Nice.
Yeah. But because of him driving the car, people were saying, well, what's this car? Why is it so special? Why did he drive it? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
And it really was starting to look its age, and that's when I decided to get it painted.
Okay.
Which was a huge mistake, but that's hindsight.
Turned out for the better.
Yeah.
This is
a challenge.
About 2006, we
put that up there.
We had it sandblasted and painted the bodywork.
Okay. There you go.
Started out locally. Things got out of control. We ended up, our dad's neighbor at the time happened to teach auto body
at a VOTEC school.
At a VOTEC school down for North Penn School District.
Mm-hmm.
And
he said, "Bring it down."
He would come over at night and look at it, and he said, "Bring it down. We can do this. We can paint this." And actually, there's a couple panels on the car that he ended up making. The rocker panels, he ended up making that. And
he did tell me. He said, "This is going to take a while now. We don't work like a regular shop. These are students."
Right.
But I oversee everything, and I watched him bring cars out of his garage at home.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous. Yeah, Frank, go ahead. Real quick, I want to show you this picture because not everybody gets to see this.
Mm-hmm.
When we had it soda blasted, for some reason, the original grease paint from when it was coming down the assembly line came through.
4-speed trans.
Yep.
And what, 557?
I don't know what that stood for, but
no, not 57. Wow.
How many people do you know saw the actual grease paint on the firewall from coming down the assembly line?
Right.
Until that, never.
No, and it didn't, for some reason, the soda didn't take it off.
No, and it's still on there.
Wow.
I would imagine.
Cool. Yeah, it's painted over.
It's got 4 coats of black, 3 coats of clear, and 5,000 coats of polish on it, so I'm imagining it's still on there.
Wow,
but,
man, that's a super car. I like it.
Which one? That one?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the tire choice on the front, but
what? And that? Hey, it rolled in the garage.
That's your rollers. That's right. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me 7 years from that point. Just, I was frustrated with it.
Sure.
Life happens.
It happens.
You know.
And that's what we get in trouble sometimes because people watch TV and in a weekend they do a car. That's not reality.
No.
You know, especially forget about the money, just the tools and the parts and the stuff. It takes years sometimes.
You know what? For me, what a hard part was, I would have to go learn how to do what it was that I wanted to do to the car. I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah.
I never took a car. I took all the stainless off of that. I took everything off there I could.
Right.
But when it came time to put it back, I couldn't remember how.
Do it. Yeah, sure.
So, you know, I had a lot of help, especially from David.
We're
Especially
running
David.
close on time, guys.
Okay.
So just make sure you get in the last couple minutes what you want to tell, because unfortunately, when you're having fun, time goes fast.
I told you, I could talk for days.
I know. This is good. This is all good stuff. This is so neat. Oh, the affiliation. I remember that.
Yeah, George. That's my tribute to George Brower.
Wow.
His daughter actually gave me that. She gave me a few of those license plates.
Yeah,
she has some left.
Yeah, I just remember it. Again, I was too young, but I remember them on the car, like, you know, around town and stuff.
Well, that's my tribute to George.
Right.
That's how it ended up.
Now, where's that at?
That's at Beaver Springs Dragway.
Beaver Springs. Yeah, I've been there in years.
After E reunion.
Yep. It looks good. Looks like they did a good job.
Is this? Will you be able to see this picture if we put it up?
Oh, there's the motor. We gotta have a motor shot, though. Yeah, we gotta have the motor shot. Now, is it the original motor?
No.
No, but it's correct. Period. Correct.
It's period correct. Yes.
Yep.
That was long. Brown.
How about the rear? Is it still old?
No.
Now you put the Ford back?
Well, actually, Bob Gillespie somebody put the Ford
Okay.
rear in it.
Yeah. That's neat. That's
They
cool.
have the same brackets, big.
Yeah.
I mean, they just took a plasma cutter, I guess, and cut them off and put them on
back
there,
on. Wow.
I don't know. Would you be able to see something this small?
What?
Yep.
All right. Well,
That's one of my favorite pictures. Me, Dave, and the boys.
Oh.
for reference, those boys just finished grad school.
So you have two boys?
I did.
Yeah.
Twins.
Oh, twins?
Yeah.
How old are they now?
23.
Oh my goodness! And look at them there.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
see
one-
that? Let me just hold it so I can get the other boy.
One just finished up at Radnor, and the other one finished up at Rutgers, and the other one finished up at Penn State.
Oh, that's so cool. That's what it's all about. I mean, you know, I know cars, people sometimes they don't care for the cars, but the family, the father and son sitting right here in front of us tonight, now the grandkids, you know, it's a neat hobby, and if you're interested in you know, classic cars, hot rods and stuff, just do it. If you don't want to do it, just go to a car show. Take a kid to a car show, like they say, because it's something to share with your family.
It's a good experience.
It is.
And it's a family experience.
And see, I always suggest people go to car shows like Duryea Day and stuff that are not just when you sit in a lawn chair all day till 5 o'clock to get your truck. You go to the ones like Carlisle. There's so much to see, so much to do, and generally the kids, even the wife, have a good time if you entertain them.
One of my favorite car shows is the Wildwood Boardwalk car show.
Oh yeah,
That's where this
Can
picture
you believe
came from.
I've never been there?
Oh, really?
Nope. And everybody says I can't believe it. I don't know why.
Standing room only on
Look
the
at
boardwalk.
that. Wow.
And of course, when you get down to the bottom of the ramp, you're expected. You must do a nice
just
burnout.
burn out. And
And
Gary
only-
has no problem complying.
Only if he has the $350 cash in his
Yeah,
pocket.
right.
Because that's what it costs.
Yeah. Well, guys, hey, it went too fast. I could sit here all night with you guys, but unfortunately, we're out of time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of Car Stories. Here we are at Wheels of Motion at 525 East High Street with Jerry and Dave. Thank you very much.
No, thank
Thanks
you,
for
Mike.
having us.
Don't forget, if you have a car story, get in touch with me.